Hey, and welcome to the Megan Waldrop podcast. I'm Megan. If you've been here before, so good to have you back. If you're new here, welcome to our crew. We love to talk about things about, being human and like what it's like to have these deeper thoughts of ways to help us grow and expand and become the best version of ourselves. And as always, BYOB, bring your own beliefs. We have no dogma here. It's just about conversations about how we can bring more joy into our lives and our work and just overall release any kind of shame or guilt that we have of anything that we've done in the past and learn new things to help ourselves feel more alive, I guess is the lack of the better word, but to feel more okay, more acceptance, more in awe of this experience of being alive and not getting it lost within all the noise. So let's go. This episode is interesting because this is about the biggest breathing mistake that I hear in yoga classes. And I've been doing this breathing mistake for over a decade because that's how I was taught in yoga. And then recently I heard through Patrick McEwen from Oxygen Advantage why this is actually the incorrect way to breathe. So I'm talking about the Ujjayi breath, the ocean breath, or the victorious breath. So many times in class, they'll start the class or end the class, or even during your yoga class, they'll have you, breathe through your nose. And then it's as if you're breathing out through your throat with your mouth closed. So it's that Ujjayi ocean breath you want to. So just pretend like you're breathing out of your throat, but with your mouth closed. But when in yoga, you hear people say, now breathe so your neighbor can hear you. Take a deep breath in and then it's like you're roaring. I don't know if you could hear that through my mic, but it's like you're deeply roaring in your throat. Take the deepest breath you've had all day or fill your lungs and do a deep exhale, your deep Ujjayi breath. But what if I told you that depending on how you're doing it, that advice could actually make you feel more anxious or dizzy or disconnected from your body? Because even when I just did the deep breathing for you to explain that, I felt a little lightheaded. But it's, I'm talking about how why certain modern yoga cues may be actually working against your nervous system and what ancient yogis were likely practicing instead. So, quick note that there's absolutely breathing practices like certain pranayama techniques that intentionally use larger breaths for a specific purpose. And those practices aren't wrong. Pranayama is not wrong. They simply have different goals. And so, what I'm talking about today is more about the default everyday breathing and the common cue to always take that biggest breath possible isn't necessarily what you need in that moment. So, this is one of the biggest things I learned from Oxygen Advantage, Patrick McEwen. He talks about, when you're in yoga and they're like, breathe so your neighbor can hear you. It's you don't want to do that for several reasons because if you're breathing where other people in the room can hear you, that means that you're probably breathing in more air than your body actually needs. You're actually over breathing because I've learned that breathing isn't just about oxygen, it's about carbon dioxide. Now, I'm going to explain this in a way that doesn't make your eyes glaze over. I promise this is actually going to feel interesting. So, most people think that we breathe to get oxygen, but that's only half the story. Your carbon dioxide is actually oxygen's BFF. Like they're like linked like this. They're little lobsters that need each other because it helps oxygen get into your blood, into your tissues, into your body. So you can think of it like this. Here's the fun metaphor, I promise. So think of oxygen. Oxygen wants to go see a show. It wants to go to this concert. But in order to get into the show, oxygen needs a wristband. It needs a little wristband to get in so the bouncer is like, okay, yeah, you're good. But that wristband is CO2. So oxygen going to the show needs CO2, the wristband, to get into the show, to get into the body, to really utilize why it's there. It's there to dance, it's there to really have that full experience. So in order for oxygen to really do its job, it needs CO2. In order to get into that show, you need the wristband so you can go boogie. You know what I'm saying? So this is the whole thing is that It's not about more oxygen, it's about your CO2 tolerance. So if you're constantly over breathing as if, breathing in and out where other people can hear you, or taking these really big inhale and exhales all the time, you can lower your carbon dioxide levels more than your body needs. So if you're doing that, it can reduce blood flow, that makes you feel lightheaded, anxious, tingly, or it feels like you need another deep breath. And which is funny because ironically, it's not that you need more breathing, it's that you need gentler breathing. So instead of doing the Ujjayi breath or the oxygen, excuse me, the Ujjayi ocean breath or the victorious breath, you do that same breath where you inhale through the nose, gently in through the nose, and then you breathe out through your throat with your mouth closed, but do it in a way that only you can hear it. You don't want your neighbor to hear it. You want it to be slow and controlled. And this is and why did it get so mixed up? Like, why are yogis saying to take these deep breaths so that other people can hear you? Well, it's funny. I learned this from historians of yoga that a lot of the pranayama techniques emphasize restraint rather than expansion. So their emphasis was on conserving the breath, not necessarily taking in more air. So if you're a meditator, or if you've been in or you're familiar with pranayama, a lot of practices involve the slow breath, reducing the volume of air, long pauses, alternate nostril breathing, and breath retention. And so the goal wasn't to breathe bigger, it was the goal is to breathe more efficiently. So I learned this through the oxygen advantage around the 1800s. There was a movement during the tuberculosis era. And during that time, they promoted taking big, deep breaths because they felt at that time in the 1800s that filling the lungs with air would somehow prevent this disease. But we know now that that doesn't work that way. Yet many of us became, well, many of those breathing ideas came woven into the modern yoga practices. And so even though that isn't actually how it works anymore, it just kind of got swept into the wave where people are like, okay, now you got to breathe deep and loud, but that's actually ineffective for tuberculosis and actual breathing that's going to be more supportive for you. So whether, every detail of that history is universally accepted, it's debated, but it's interesting to consider how modern wellness cues have evolved over time. And so if you're ever in one of my sessions, I do corporate wellness sessions, I rarely say, take a deep breath or take a huge breath. If I say take a deep breath, I mean take a deep breath as in slow and controlled and deep into the belly, just not deep where you're like, like filling yourself up like a balloon, because you want to breathe through your nose. You want to breathe quietly. You want to soften your inhale and lengthen your exhale and let the breath become effortless, because the calmer your breathing becomes, the calmer your nervous system becomes. And that's the thing, is like breathing, it's looked over so much because it's something we do without even thinking about it, but it's like one of the biggest things we could do to help shift our minds, our bodies into more of a relaxed state. It's the smallest little tweak you can do is just with your breath, or just taking a pause. Like if you're rushing down the road, if you're walking and you're like, I'm late to this, blah, blah, it's like, wait, take a little beat, like just stop in your tracks and then continue to walk. Or you feel like you're eating really fast. I feel like I do this and I'm working on it. But maybe I'm really hungry and I just start to eat really fast. I'm like, oh, hold on. Just take that little nugget of a pause and then go on a different pace of breathing or eating and breathing. But it's like, what can we do for rushing through work? And it's like, okay, no, let me roll my shoulders back and then start on this cadence. Like you're actually going to put yourself on a different tempo. And so next time you're in yoga or you're in any exercise class and they say, take a deep breath and breathe where other people can hear you, like do that ocean breath, that Ujjayi breath, know that they're not necessarily teaching wrong. They're teaching the way that they've been taught. But as we've learned over time, science and looking back into these pranayama practices from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, yogis were actually breathing small. They were breathing less. They were having more retention. They were controlling their carbon dioxide levels because some yogis can hold their breath for up to 180 seconds. Like this is how some of the meditations were. They were more concerned about breathing less per minute, not how much breath can we exhale, inhale, all of these things. It's more about the regulation. This is what's going to help not only fuel the blood and to fuel your body, but it's also going to signal to your organs like, I feel safe. I can rest and digest. If you think about it, rest the mind, but also help the body digest anything that's going on inside food wise. Also, process any energy that's going on that feels excessive. Like, how do I do this? Well, you just control your breathing, keep it to yourself, like keep it where only you can hear you. And one thing I like to tell people before any of my sessions is you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe any oxygen advantage or any kind of teacher or yoga teacher. Just experiment and see. Just like spend a few minutes just breathing quietly through your nose. You can slow your breath and just see how your body responds because your nervous system is an incredible teacher. There are so many different ways to help yourself regulate. Breath is just one of them. It's not the only way. There's so many different ways, and it depends on what feels right for you. You know, dancing, movement, that's such a great one. Obviously, exercise is a great way to get energy out. Meditation, talk therapy. I mean, there's a million different ways. The cold water plunges, and it just depends on what's right for you. But what I would love about the breath is that you can take it anywhere. You don't have to change. You don't have to yeah, you don't have to change your clothes. You don't have to change your environment. You can do it with you're surrounded by people. You can do it by yourself, and nobody ever knows that you're doing it. You're just doing it for yourself. So next time you have that ujjayi breath, we can try. Let's do 3 rounds right now. So get comfortable. You can roll your shoulders back if you want. Just take a little cleansing breath in and out if you'd like. And then begin whenever feels comfortable for you. You can inhale and exhale through your throat with your mouth closed, just so you can hear it yourself. You're going to repeat at any pace that feels good for you. It's like you're trying to fog a mirror with your mouth closed. You just try it a few times. Try it when you're doing it just for yourself. Do it whenever you feel like how you've been traditionally taught to do it loudly and just see the difference, like how that feels in your body. It's pretty interesting. It's like just one small little tweak, it can change everything. And also I think that it's interesting that sometimes in yoga, when I was practicing this breath, they say do it so your neighbors can hear you. And it's like I'm trying to prove myself to other people that I can be a loud breather or that, other people around me. It's like I'm trying to prove that who can breathe the deepest and the loudest. And really, that's also completely not what we're trying to do in breath work or yoga or really in life. Like, how do we quit proving ourselves to other people? We don't need to do that. This is all just for us. So all we have to do is do that simple breath in and out where just we feel it, just we hear it, and know that that's making a huge difference in your body. That's all you got to do. No big deal. Put it in your pocket, use it later, try it a few times, try it for a few minutes, whatever feels right for you. And always BYOB, bring your own beliefs. And if it works, cool, put it in your back pocket. If it doesn't, next, try something else. There's no wrong answer, only what is right and true for you. Thanks so much for being here as always, and look forward to seeing you next week. See ya.